What's up? This is Mason Stoops, and today I am back with my friends from Guitarcenter checking out the new Fender Player II Modified Telecaster SH. I am a Tele guy. My first real guitar that I used on like real gigs was like a homemade kind of parts Tele. I graduated to an old 50s Tele. Now I have a 1960 Tele. I love Teles. I love the simplicity. I love the straightforwardness. I even like feeling how simple it is. No cutaways, no flashy, funny stuff, just like guitar. I'm not normally a humbucker Tele guy, but so this is very exciting to me because I think you look much cooler if you play a Tele with a humbucker in it. Most of my Teles are modified in different ways. I think one of the earliest guitar modifications goes back to swapping out a Tele neck pickup. Originally, when the Telecaster came out, it just had the bridge pickup. The neck pickup was kind of an afterthought, and it was a little too small, a little underpowered. Then they put that big, thick metal cover on it, which made it kind of dark. It just led people to, people who loved their Telecasters, loved the bridge pickup. Some people have felt like, oh, maybe the neck pickup could be a little different. It's an opportunity for a different, more unique sound. The Tele neck position has been a canvas of options for a long, long time. I think the most iconic, and we can all agree on this, the Keith Richards, the Albert Collins, the humbucker in the neck position of a Tele is like, that's as cool as it gets. Now I'm that guy. The neck is fantastic. The frets are fantastic. It just feels good. Like you're good to go with this neck. You don't need to tweak it. I could take this to a gig right now. First impressions with this guitar, it's a subtle thing, but it's an important thing, are these rolled edges on the fingerboard. An older guitar, over time, all the years of playing and the wear that it's taken on, they have a really specific, just really comfortable feel with the rolled edges. It's been something that we've kind of all been talking about with older guitars, how they just feel so good that way. Man, I wish a new guitar felt like that. And finally, we're getting it. It just feels so comfortable and immediately broken in. It's a modern C neck, everyone's favorite. No complaints there. We have some new locking tuners. There's an updated little string tree, very cute. We have a Tuscan nut, which is very cool, a little more lubricated than bone. These are medium jumbo frets, which I think are perfect for kind of more modern playing, but still feels like a Fender. Slab rosewood fingerboard. And then over on the guitar part of the guitar, you have a lot of new features as well. Obviously, the humbucking pickup, that is splittable. Been playing it for the last hour or so. Sounds fantastic. We have this new updated noiseless bridge pickup, which actually sounds very good as well. Another cool thing are these saddles. They're brass, they're chrome plated, 6 saddles, so much more intonatable than your traditional Tele 3-saddle setup. And then a very kind of nuanced but important under the hood feature is the treble bleed on the volume knob. Old pots, for whatever reason, the way they were made, they sound amazing, and you've heard all your heroes talk about, oh, they just turned their amp up and they would roll their guitar down. And for whatever reason, those older pots, that worked really well. We can finally do that again. I don't know how they've done it, but this treble bleed circuit works very well. That's the whole guitar. So I'm going to start with the new humbucking pickup in the neck position. I'll play a little bit just with the traditional humbucker. You'll hear it's a little darker, a little more mid-rangey and fuller. And then I'll pull up on the push-pull to engage single coil mode. And that'll be a much more traditional Fender sound, which is the brighter, clearer, mid-scoop, just the classic chime-y Fender sound that we all know and love. And then I'll do this. What jumped out to me, that first humbucking sound It's just so full. There's like all those lower mids and just those harmonics that make the guitar just this kind of warm blanket of a sound. And it's obviously a lot hotter too. What more could you need? And then if you switch over to that single coil setting, it's another immediately amazing sound. That's just that classic, like almost SRV, clean Fender guitar sound. And having both of those on one guitar, I've always been hesitant about two-in-one things, or it seems like one gets compromised for the sake of the other, but they both do sound fantastic. To me, I immediately gravitate towards more of like a jazzier, darker sound. So I'd probably go that way with the neck humbucker because it's just dark and kind of mysterious and just takes you back to some of those early recordings. And then as far as the Fender single coil side, I mean, I would just do exactly that. Some classic Fender sounding neck pickup, single coil sounds. Tough to beat. What you just heard was a little bit of vibrato and a little bit of slapback delay. I have a Boss VB2, which I think is the best vibrato pedal there is. And then a little bit of this EC1 tape echo from Strymon that just came out recently. Just a little bit of both on a really great sounding anything is great. But on a really great sounding neck humbucker has enough of its own kind of rich harmonic content. Like you don't need to do too much to it. Now I'm in the split coil position. All I'm using effects wise is just a little bit of trem and a little bit of reverb. Exactly what would have been on an amp back in the day. Just a classic Telecaster neck pickup sound. That is like the Fender sound, to me at least. When you hear that, it's like, oh, that's right. Music is good and guitar is awesome. Single string, simple chords, nothing fancy, just pure guitar. It's $1 million sound. That's what started Fender guitars. Back in the day, the early days of splitting a humbucker, it was a compromised version of a single coil sound. But if you heard what I just heard, I think we can agree that it sounds sick. Most modern humbuckers, at least the ones that we're kind of all mostly familiar with, they're inherently a little darker. They're a little more mid-rangey, so it makes them really fun to play. It's kind of more forgiving. It's a cooler, easier sound. Switching over to the single coil version of this humbucker inherently gives you so much more dynamics as it's clear, it's not as muddy. It's obviously going to be brighter compared to the standard humbucker mode. It's all there in this pickup. You can do both. You have that classic humbucker sound. We finally have a great Fender style single coil sound as well without a compromise. It's time for it. We got to do it. Let's hear that classic Tele bridge pickup sound. Switching now. Ba-bam. That was the bridge pickup. It sounds like a Tele and it feels like a Tele. It just happens to be noiseless. All I added was a slapback from this Strymon EC1 delay, and I have a little bit of tape saturation as well, just to give it some grit. Truth be told, I'm not much of a noiseless guy, not just because I haven't been. A noiseless pickup should do two things. It should sound very, very, very good, and it should be noiseless. But now what would be cool is to see just how noiseless it is. So I've kind of come up with what I feel is like a bunch of delay, good amount of reverb, so I can create some space, use the volume pedal. If there was any noise from the pickup and I was doing volume swells, that noise would be coming in and out too. I've had to deal with that in sessions and on tour especially. It does interfere with the vibe if every time you raise your volume on the guitar, you're suddenly getting this like 60 cycle hum. If it's a noiseless pickup, we shouldn't be getting any of that. It should just be a nice, almost ambient, clean, clear space without any extra noise and just the vibe and the slide. Let's see how it does. Did it pass the audition? Yes. Because did you hear any 60 cycle hum or weird, just that if you're rising a volume pedal, it's such a vibe killer normally, especially on a great guitar with like a great single coil sound that sounds great and works and sits in a mix. But as soon as you're doing volume swells or anything that really requires silence, you're screwed because you're going to be swelling in all that 60 cycle hum and stuff with your guitar sound as well. I had as much stuff on as I could that would absolutely enhance and make the bad sound stick out if they were there, but I didn't hear a thing. I thought it sounded great, and I didn't hear a single hum or noise otherwise. All right, last but not least, we're going to check out that middle position. It just sits in a mix in such a classic way. It's the go-to position if you just need a great guitar track, some kind of rhythm track in the background, or something that's just beautifully neutral. It's not going to be too bright. It's not going to be too thin, and it's not going to be too dark, and it's not going to be too full. It's just exactly the perfect world between the neck pickup and the bridge pickup. What makes this one even more interesting is we have the humbucker in the neck position. I'll be switching between full humbucking and the split humbucker via the push-pull pot so that you can hear the difference between both while still staying in the middle position. And then this. With the full humbucker, it's going to be more mid-rangey and it's going to have a little more girth to it in a way that's kind of maybe fuller and easier to the ear in a good way. And then that split coil position was much more jangly, a little more bright, and it gives you a little more kind of character. You hear more of everything. So good thing that you can use both because we have the push-pull right there. In conclusion, this is a great Tele. Don't let the humbucker fool you. This is as much of a Tele as any Tele you can find anywhere. It has all the features you'd want on a classic Tele with just a few modern tweaks that I totally approve of. Like I said, that neck shape feels great. The 6-saddle bridge makes sense, and overall, the sound and the feel is exactly what I would look for in a Tele if I was going to go buy a new one. It still has the vintage feel, still has the vintage sound. The added bonus of the noiseless is going to be great, especially in parallel with the humbucker. So if you're someone who uses a lot of gain, someone who wants to use a lot of distortion, this would be a great option for you. It's going to help you cut through a mix a little more than a traditional single coil would, because that humbucker is so mid-rangey and so full sounding. Maybe the classic Fender single coil sound hasn't served you as well as humbuckers. It's all still there. It's still a great guitar. It's a great Tele, and buy 10. If you want to learn more about the new Fender Player II Modified Telecaster SH, go to guitarcenter.com, give a call to one of their expert gear advisors, or try one yourself at your local GC.